And the way this game works is that each player is going to be starting the game with a starter deck with a few different types of ships, and players are competing to be the first to get to 4 victory points. But instead of gaining victory points for combat and fighting the other players, instead you're going to be gaining victory points for each outpost that you're able to build, and 2 victory points for each outpost that you're able to upgrade into a colony. And in typical deck builder fashion, you're going to be drawing a few cards from your draw pile and then using them and then adding them to your discard pile. And any new cards that you buy will also go directly into your discard pile. And as I mentioned, there's a few different types of ships in this game, and the first one is the scout ship. And you're going to be playing these from your hand in order to explore the exploration deck. So for each scout card that you play, you're going to be able to draw a card from that exploration deck. There can be a few different cards in this deck, but what you're looking for are different locations, because some of these locations can be colonized, but in order to do that, you're going to have to meet some sort of requirement outlined on that card. But when you find this card, you can put your player marker on it to indicate that you have scouted that planet. And when you do finally meet the requirement, you're not only going to be gaining the victory points for that outpost or colony, but you can also gain additional benefits like additional resources or special abilities. And then there are the transport ships that you're going to be sending out to gain resources and money, which you can then use to gain more cards. And one thing to note about this game is that when you do reuse your discard pile, you're not actually going to be shuffling it up. The order of your cards does matter, because that's going to stay intact when it goes to become your draw deck. So as you're discarding cards or buying new cards, you're going to want to think about the order that those are going into your discard pile. And another really important ship to know about is the warship, because as players are trying to build out colonies on these different locations, if you're not protected, the other players might want to swoop in and take that planet for themselves. And this is where the warships come into play, because depending on which side you're on, you're either going to be using these ships to initiate an attack or to defend against one. And if you are in an attack, you can always deploy more of these warships in order to reinforce your side. And then at the end of your turn, you're going to be drawing back up to your hand limit, and then the game continues like this until someone reaches that threshold of victory points, and then that player is going to win the game. And if this one does sound interesting to you, you can find a link to the campaign in the description below, and you'll want to follow along so that you get that limited edition card added to your pledge completely for free.